Listen very carefully and follow my instructions. Prepare your brain for the Cortex Labs Nootropics podcast.
I gotta tell you, being an entrepreneur, I will not go through the rest of my career without taking nootropics. Aniracetam, piracetam, modafinil, Nupep, uridim monophosphate. I mean, phenylpiracetam, forget it. You can always have a better brain.
The Cortex Labs Nootropics podcast is about to begin.
Episode number 61 of the Cortex Labs Nootropics podcast. I am your host, Ryan Michael Ballo. Life is war. I just wanted to say that. I have that in my home office as it's like a chalkboard. It's a small little collapsible stand-up chalkboard. It says life is war. Every day I change it, so tomorrow it's going to be something like otherwise crazy, like get to work, son of a gun. Okay, so thanks so much for being with me. Check us out on the web at livecortex.com, livecortex.com/blog, giant blog for nootropics information. 6 powerful products we got that sponsor the podcast. They're our products, so they're not someone else's, and they're nootropic products, so that's great for folks, right? Like we're not pitching health insurance or something. Number one, the Cortex stack, powerful pre-made stack, right now $27. Okay, Cortex is turn the brain on energy. It is motivation, verbal fluency, speed of processing. You know, if you want to be as verbally fluent as I am, or as the most verbally fluent guy you know, get a bottle of Cortex. You will not be unhappy. This thing is a killer stack used by poker players, business people, Wall Street people, everybody else in between. Livecortex.com. All right, livecortex.com for what's being called the only pre-made nootropic stack that actually works. No BS. Okay, $27 right now. All of our digital guides are 20% off. That's the Nupep Pro Stack List, giant list of Nupep stacks, the Racetam God Guide, 80 Racetam stacks in that digital guide, Smarter, Better, Faster guide for folks that are new to nootropics, teaches you everything. It's digital. The nootropic stack for the business professional, that's 100 powerful stacks for business productivity. And then the Beginner's Guide to Aniracetam. That is a whole guide specifically on Aniracetam. 25 powerful stacks, lots of great stuff inside, all 20% off. The Nootropic Starter Pack, which is a bottle of Cortex and a digital copy of Smarter, Better, Faster, our digital nootropics book that teaches you everything about nootropics, gives you many stacks. That's on sale to 20% off. Okay, that gets you a bottle of Cortex and Smarter, Better, Faster. That's our most popular product. Lastly, we got 2 consulting programs. Number one is a nootropics consulting service. It's a 40-minute call with me, 15 additional email correspondences. We can help you shave things off your stack, formulate a stack for you, get a stack that works well for college, whatever you want. And then chronic fatigue syndrome consulting, which is helping folks understand the root causes. It's many, many systems that have gone awry that underlie chronic fatigue syndrome. I can help you with that. I had it. I dealt with it. I figured it out. Get all this stuff at livecortex.com. Again, the guides in Cortex, 20% off. Okay, so the class of TRANQUILITY nootropics. TRANQUILITY nootropics, like that's, my word for it. That's kind of the terminology we use in Smarter, Better, Faster and a lot of our digital guides. Those are the class of compounds that don't speed you up, they tone you down, right? So ashwagandha, L-theanine, valerian root, hops, lemon balm, L-tryptophan, right? Some of the heavy hitters would be basically phenibut. Phenibut is the most heaviest hitter in the class of nootropics, or all those things that I consider nootropics. I don't consider benzodiazepines nootropics. So there's a place for them, right? In the life of a productive person, there's a place for them in the life of a person who wants to tone down some anxiety from work, and there's certainly a necessity for them, not just a place, in people that have some sort of cranked up nervous system anxiety mechanism going on. Whether neurotransmitter deficiency, GABA functionality problem, or otherwise, to tone some of that stuff down so they can live a normal life and not be crippled by anxiety. And so there's all these great reasons for to have TRANQUILITY nootropics. But I want to run through 3 of the top reasons that I use TRANQUILITY nootropics, see if I can give some folks some inspiration to use them in these particular situations, and kind of just give folks validation on using phenibut, on using L-theanine, on using tryptophan, on using valerian root, on using all these wonderful calming compounds like ashwagandha to tone things down. Number 1 is sleep. Okay, that's literally the number one reason I use these compounds. It's the first thing we're going to talk about, but it's also the number one reason I use ashwagandha, particularly valerian root, L-tryptophan, L-theanine, hops, and lemon balm. Those are my top, and then melatonin also for sleep. To me, sleep is a treasure. Okay, and when I don't get enough of it, I feel like I'm behind a prison. And on the outside of the prison walls is all the things I can do and I know I'm capable of, right? I know, like, some of you probably had this feeling, and it is like being in a prison, right? It really stinks. It's like you know your capacity, you know your worth, you know what you can do, you know your ability, but you're being held back by your brain capacity or anxiety or something or whatever, right? Like, on a general sense. Sleep makes it so that if I get enough sleep, I am my uninhibited self. I can do all the things that I truly want to do. I can apply my energy where I know I need to apply it. I'm certainly quantifiably a lot more productive when I sleep well. I feel better. I feel better about life when I sleep better. If I wake up in the morning and I've slept well, you know, that moment when you wake up and all the crappy things you run through your head and you're like, God, Jesus, this is going on, that's going on, that's going on. That's a lot easier to deal with for me. And frankly, it's easier for me to switch into the gear consciously, because that's what I try to do in the morning. Consciously switch out of that gear and switch into the gear of a little bit of gratitude. I mean, it's hard to sit there and be grateful for stuff, but mostly just inspiration. I watch YouTube videos. I get super woo-woo, guys. I'm telling you. I watch YouTube videos of motivation. I listen to all that stuff. I read personal development books. That's my thing. That's what I'm really into. Like, what am I going to do? Hang out with folks at the bar where everyone subtly jabs at each other's self-esteem by, you know, busting each other's balls. Like, I don't really do a whole lot of that. I just can't stand the vibe. I don't like the whole thing, right? I like to listen to personal development books. I listen to tapes, Tony Robbins stuff. All that kind of stuff is where I'm at, man. I mean, I just love it. I love the way it makes me feel. And so it's easier for me to get into that mode, to get into the mode of being pumped, to get into the mode of being motivated, to get in the mode of being ready to go do my day if I slept well. And so, you know, ashwagandha, a gram of ashwagandha before bed, right? Sometimes a gram of ashwagandha, 500 milligrams theanine, 100 milligrams lemon balm. Totally great stack, right? In other cases, mimicking the stack called the Jarrow Sleep Optimizer, 400 milligrams valerian root, 100 milligrams tryptophan, 100 milligrams lemon balm, 100 milligrams hops, 0.3 milligrams melatonin, because that's just about what you make. A lot of these supplements have like 3 to 6 milligrams. You don't make that much melatonin normally. And I believe that is it for that stack. But that stack knocks me out, gives me a refreshing sleep, and then I wake up feeling awesome. Okay, so that's number one. Sleep is everything. And then, by the way, you know, in some instances, not all instances, but in some instances, look, if I don't get enough sleep, that's really where the nootropics come in later on in the day. If I want to be productive from 6 p.m. onward and I don't take a nap at 4 p.m., I got to break out the phenylparastam, got to break out phenylalanine, Alcar, the Cortex stack, especially the Cortex stack. I wouldn't, fuss with modafinil after 6 p.m. I mean, that's just asking to stay up till 5 in the morning and have a terrible the next 48 hours. But it's everything. And so, like, if I slept well, in some cases, I don't need to take nootropics at 6 p.m. if I really want to sit down and work for 4 or 5 hours. You know what I mean? I could just hustle through it because my brain works well enough and everything's good enough because I slept well. Otherwise, baby, break out the phenylparacetam. Okay, so that's number one. Number two is, I don't know how to call it, but I'll just sort of phrase it. It's getting in the way of the basically me snapping at folks, right? It's getting in the way of, like, the quick decision making to blow up on somebody who does something dumb in traffic, like situations in which, like, you really don't want to blow up on people because look, I mean, there are situations where you probably should blow up on people and they deserve it and you need to set them straight. That's just life, and that's just how you deal with certain people, right? But in situations where you can't do anything about it, like traffic is the best one. Somebody cuts you off, somebody does something dumb. So what are you gonna do? Like, scream at them, beep at them, chase them down, follow them? Like, I've done all of the above before, and it was never worth it. A few times I almost ended up getting into fights like that. That wouldn't have been good for me at all. And so what theanine, what ashwagandha particularly, especially if I take it during the day, if I know I'm not going to be productive or don't want to do any focus work, I'll take ashwagandha, just kind of chill out, relax, reflect on things. If I'm taking these kind of nootropics, tranquility nootropics, I just let that stuff pass, right? That stuff just kind of passes. It is easier. I can actually rationalize passing it, right? Rather than just like freaking out and being like, whatever, I'm not going to let this dude take advantage of me or be a jerk on the road. I'm going to say something to him or whatever. I just let that stuff pass. Any other situations in which, maybe there's some sort of injustice going on, somebody's being a jerk or something else is going on that I don't like, that I otherwise might try to get in the middle of, or at least try to state my position aggressively. I just sort of am okay with letting it go. Not that I'm a passive person, because I'm very type A and very aggressive, but sometimes you have to consciously know when it isn't smart to do to respond in an aggressive way to something, to when it isn't smart to expend your energy on something that you could just kind of let fall by the wayside. Okay, so theanine especially. If I take a racetam stack, something like 800, 900 milligrams, 1,000 milligrams oxiracetam, and then bring in 400 or 500 milligrams of theanine with that stack, that tones down some of the stimulatory response that would at least put me in that hyper aggressive mode if I needed to be, or if somebody did something crazy, like on the road, right? And the road is traffic is a great, example of this, or whatever. Somebody does something dumb at the dentist's office or something. Even that little bit of theanine with a stimulatory racetam, can keep me in a place where there's a gap between me deciding, between something happening where somebody acts stupid and me just quick responding to that person in sort of an angry way. But again, I want to be clear. I'm so type A. I want to just say this. I have to be clear. Some people deserve to have their butts chewed out, right? Some people deserve for you to be aggressive. There are some people for whom dealing with them in this aggressive way is just how they have to be dealt with, right? And they're thick-headed people. Those are the people we all know, we all deal with, we see them every day. But in a lot of situations, it is better for you, okay? Forget everything else. It is better for you to just let the stuff pass. And some of these tranquility nootropics, particularly theanine, particularly ashwagandha, really allow me to kind of just let things pass. That's number 2. Number 3 is a super personal one that relates to my business life, and that is I take tranquility nootropics, and again, the same ones, L-theanine, ashwagandha, sometimes in the daytime, lemon balm, and hops. Those are typically best taken at night because they really help you induce sleep. In the daytime, they can calm a lot down, especially in conjunction with things like ashwagandha or valerian root or something. I take these compounds in some cases when I take breaks from my business life. I am the founder and CEO of Cortex Labs, the company. We've been a company for 3 years now. We ship product to every country, most countries. And we got all types of stuff going on, new products coming out, new nootropic stacks coming out, a sleep stack coming out, a calming stack coming out. All these things are in the making. So there's so much going on with the Cortex Labs business. Then there's content and there's all this stuff that we're putting out. And we're always trying to help people. We got a lot of consulting clients that we deal with on a one-on-one basis on nootropics consulting, a few folks with chronic fatigue syndrome consulting. We're in the enterprise now. We're consulting folks from Fortune 200, Fortune 500 companies about nootropics. These folks are taking them, right? They're taking modafinil, they're taking racetam. So they've ended up coming to Cortex Labs for advice on this sort of stuff. So there's a lot going on. And when I take breaks, which I need to sometimes, right? Not a lot. I like to work. I like to be productive. I like to be aggressive. But when I take breaks, I enjoy theanine. Ashwagandha is really my go-to for this. A couple grams, and I'll really go deep on doses with ashwagandha in these situations. I enjoy these tranquility nootropics to just calm the heck down, to just shut my brain up, right? My whole life is dominated by an excessively fast-thinking brain, right? By a brain that's working so quick and figuring stuff out all the time, and I'm always putting myself in front of challenges, and I'm always trying to get better at stuff, and I'm always setting new targets, and I'm always shooting for those targets, and then I'm running into problems like shooting for those targets, then I'm sitting trying to figure out what the heck went wrong so I can come back around and attack whatever's going on. And that process eventually gets you to the point where you're too wound up, where you're too stressed out, where you don't feel normal anymore. I mean, you don't feel normal anymore. And so I take breaks. I'll take 3 days, go look at the water or whatever. In the wintertime, I'll go to the Poconos. I live in PA. The Poconos is like a snowy place. It's like a snowy kind of, wintry kind of place. So I'll go to the Poconos for a couple days and just get a hotel room and just do a whole lot of nothing. Maybe watch some TV, maybe not. I really am into just looking at nature in those kind of situations. Like hopefully it's snowing or hopefully I can be in front of the ocean in the summertime, and that's what I try to do. And in those cases, ashwagandha is my go-to. Couple grams of ashwagandha chills me right the heck out. That and phenibut. Phenibut is another great strategy for that. Just chills me the heck out. I feel totally cool and calm about everything that's going on. Those of you that take phenibut, there's a thing that washes over you, where the way you respond to other things that tends to be stressful just doesn't happen. It just goes away. And you start to look at things from a different perspective. And for me, it's like every time I get in that state, I go, oh, right. This is what that feels like again. I got to do this more with meditation, or I got to do this more with something else. Like, it's like, because I don't want to take, you don't want to take Phenibut constantly. It gives you pretty bad withdrawals if you keep taking it, then you stop taking it. And so you got to figure out other ways to do that. So it makes me go like, oh, I need to meditate more. But it makes me remember, this is what it's like to feel calm. This is what it's like to not have my brain running 100 miles an hour. And I truly like that. So when I take business breaks, when I like to get away for just a couple days to separate from stuff that's super stressful, super high paced, and super crazy, I take theanine, I take ashwagandha, I take some of these tranquility nootropics, Phenibut, valerian root, things of this nature, in various stacks, and to really calm things down. And by the way, there's an entire section on tranquility nootropics, kind of my favorite approaches with tranquility nootropics in Smarter, Better, Faster. That's one thing we don't talk about a whole lot. But we should, because I know a lot of folks are into those kind of nootropics, Phenibut, etc. So the whole sector on there where we basically talk about some of my favorite tranquility nootropic stacks. Okay, so those are the top 3 reasons that tranquility nootropic stacks are effective for me, are useful for me. That's what I really like them for. That's why I use them. And dare I say, it's really weird. I never thought I'd be saying this. Dare I say that these days, it might be 50-50, but it might even be like 55-45 that I'm using tranquility nootropics over stimulatory nootropic, especially for nighttime, right? And especially in times where I'm breaking, and especially just in random times during the day when I might want to pair them with other nootropics that might be somewhat stimulatory. I just really love this stuff. I am in love with ashwagandha. I'm still in love with L-theanine. There's nothing like, for me, like I like to low dose Phenibut, but there's nothing like a good solid low to medium dose of Phenibut for me that's like 200 to 400 milligrams. Nothing quite like it, right? And so I am fussing with these kind of nootropics a lot more, and they're just great. It's a good balance to balance things out. I believe in balance somewhat. I think there's certain things like in life you got to go all in. You have to go all in. But there's some situations in which all in is over whatever, right? It's just like over, it's excessive, and you have to balance things out. And so, with a reservoir of stimulatory nootropic compounds that I have and know we write in all our digital guides and I've been talking about for a decade now, sometimes it's just kind of good to balance it out with tranquility nootropics. That has been the podcast, episode number 61 of the Cortex Labs Nootropics podcast. Thanks so much for listening, guys. Thanks for being with me. Remember, everything right now still 20% off at the Cortex Labs website. That's the Cortex Stack, powerful pre-made stack. We got guys that used to take like, what was it called? Optimine? No, there's another one that there's like maybe it was Optimine. Yeah, I think it is Optimine. That's one of the other pre-made stacks out there. And he swore by it. He likes it. Optimine's a pretty good stack. It's another stack made by another company. They might have changed their company name or the product name, somewhat recently. I don't know what's going on with them, but the dude was taking it for a while. We got him started taking Cortex, likes it so much better, gets so much more mental energy, so much more motivation, right? That was the standout thing. He's like, I'm pumped. I'm like pumped to go to work. I'm excited about things. I'm doing better at work, like performance metrics. Like he's in a company where he's at C-suite in a company and they measure performance metrics, and so to see how you're doing and stuff. And so Cortex is a powerful stack. Pro poker players, guys that sit there with sunglasses on when they're playing pokers so that folks can't see them squinting or like making moves to let the other person know that's your tell that you're lying or bluffing. Serious guys, in other words, playing poker. And some of the biggest casinos in America, these guys are taking Cortex, right, to get in the zone and get focused. I never imagined that would be an audience for us. I never tried to pitch to them. We never tried to put our product in front of them. They just started taking it. We had folks email us and was like, yeah, I bought your stack and it was amazing. And then folks that hit us up and were like, hey, I'm a poker player. Do you think your stack will work? And I'm like, I think so. Other folks said it would. Like, you should try it. They do it. They're on point. They're focused. And they're winning games. Your brain works better when you've got nootropics that make your brain work better. No question about it. Anyway, Cortex right now is $27. Get it at livecortex.com. All of our digital guides are also 20% off. The Nootropics Starter Pack, which is Cortex and Smarter, Better, Faster, all digital guide, that's 20% off. livecortex.com. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for being with me, everybody. Talk to you next time.